You're listening to Thunder and Lightning on SuperTalk Mississippi, covering Mississippi State sports like nobody else. With Sports Talk Mississippi's Brian Hadad and Robbie Faulk of On3 Sports. Now get ready for Thunder and Lightning.
Just Thunder and Lightning here on SuperTalk Mississippi. Brian Hadad and Robbie Faulk here with you on a Friday morning. Thanks for joining us here at supertalk.fm or wherever it is you get podcasts from. Appreciate you guys out there, our great listeners, especially our servicemen and women out there taking care of us. We want to thank our sponsors over at Strange Brew Coffee House and Churn and Spoon Ice Cream. Start your day the right way with a trip to the drive-thru over at Strange Brew Coffee House here in Starkville or at Brupolo over in Tupelo. It'd be a little weird, Robbie, if Brupolo was in Payev.
Payev?
Payev.
That'd be a little weird.
It would be a little weird.
Pavia, Diego Pavia is just Payev.
Payev. It's not spelled the same yet. Where we go.
Well, actually, it's Pavy.
It better not be. There's an I in it. Payev is what it says it is. So, there you go. It was named for the Payev Mill Company, which in turn was named for its founder, Henry Piaggio. Oh, Piaggio. Oh. Ooh.
Danny Piaggio's son.
Yeah. How's his mother?
Yeah.
There we go. Wherever you're in our great state, you can. By the way, the Piave Mill Company was sold in 1920 and renamed the Virgin Pine Lumber Company at one point.
We have a great Italian heritage.
We do.
In the state of Mississippi.
We do. Most of it's in the Delta.
Yeah,
but,
very true.
You know. Wherever you're in our great state, you can enjoy Strange Brew Coffee each and every morning. It's only a click away at strangebrewcoffeehouse.com. The Mississippi Beef Council wants to remind you that beef, it is what's for dinner. Once again, beef is what is for Brian Hadad's dinner tonight. Doing some bacon cheeseburger smash tacos.
Yummy.
They're going to be good. Guys, weeknight meals are made easier with beef. Delicious, good for you, inexpensive, but most importantly, versatile. Whatever you want to do tacos, you want to do pasta, you want to do burgers, you want Asian, whatever it is, man, they've got it. Beef is the best ingredient to add. So do that this weekend. Do that anytime you're looking for a great, easy meal. Beef, it's what's for dinner. Thanks to our friends at the Mississippi Beef Council. College Corner, collegecornerstore.com is the place to find the maroon and white merchandise that you are looking for. We are just a month away from the start of the college football season here at Mississippi State. And if you don't have your new polo yet, well, what are you waiting on? You need to get some new gear, get the interlocking, get the state script, the M over S. Whatever you're getting, they've got it at College Corner. 2 locations in the Jackson area, Ridgeland by Fleet Feet, Flow by the Half Shell, or shop online at collegecornerstore.com. Restaurant Tyler is Starkville's flagship restaurant for lunch, dinner, or Sunday brunch. Best meal in town's always at Restaurant Tyler. We love a great lunch at Restaurant Tyler. The best blue plate in town, fried chicken, fried catfish, blackened catfish, hamburger steak, pork chops, whatever you want to get. It's as southern as it gets. Great vegetables, great cornbread. If you want to have a fantastic lunch today, I'll tell you where to go. You need to head over to Restaurant Tyler. Priority One Bank, 16 locations to serve you throughout central Mississippi. Let PriorityOneBank.com be your guide and show you not only how they're going to help you invest and manage your money, but how they're going to help you prepare for the future. Now more than ever, when you have questions about your money, you need answers. You need a banker who knows you, has that relationship with you the same way that they know your money. The place to do that is Priority One Bank. Let Priority One Bank make you their priority. Well, later in the show, we'll play audio from today's first preseason camp practice from Coach Jeff Lebby. We had the chance to speak to him later, but it is an annual tradition here on Thunder and Lightning. We've been doing it for a long, long time. The annual All-22 rankings. We've had some issues in the past, but I think this is the year, Robbie. We finally know what we're doing.
I think we've only had issues like once or twice.
It was twice, but this is only like your fourth one.
Yeah, so the last
so now
2
500.
years we've been good.
Yeah. You never know, though.
You don't have to keep harping on the negative.
I'm not trying to harp.
Some people might have forgotten that 2 years, 3 years ago.
Now, you know how people are.
We still have people saying that we don't know anything about the net because we had that one show where we didn't.
We did have a spell with it was when Howland was there and I didn't care about basketball.
It was only like once or twice.
I'm just saying. All right, we have first thing we've done is we have a projected starting lineup, offense and defense. These are 22 players, no kickers, no punters. I hope Kyle Ferry, once again, I have offended him. So we have to project who we think is going to start. So we may not agree on that. And then we rank those guys 1 through 22. 22 is the guy I have the least amount of confidence in going into the season. Number one is the guy I have the most confidence in going into the season. I will let you start it off. Who do you have at 22?
I want to preface this by saying this is one of the toughest times I've had putting together this list. Like, I know we had a tough time with the first two, but
Yeah.
that was because I didn't understand the rules.
Right.
But
This is
if
one
I'm
where
looking at an all 22 confidence meter, this is the toughest I've ever had, like as far as feeling confident. And it's not because I don't think that this team is capable of being better or anything like that. I just don't know, first of all, who's going to win some of these battles. And secondly, I just don't know if I can find confidence in some of these players yet.
right.
Because they just haven't done it. So this is going to be an interesting.
You and I were talking about this earlier that once I got past like 5, I was just like, okay, I think this guy's going to start. I think he'll be okay.
I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you. It's not until like the top 10 where I start to really feel confident about players.
Yeah, I agree.
But nonetheless,
All right, start us
my
off.
number 22. It might surprise you that I have this guy as a potential starter, but Javen Williams, a cornerback.
Okay.
I don't know what's going to happen at that other spot. Could be Diego Broomfield. I don't know. I think Kelly Jones is going to be the other starter, but I just feel like Williams is probably going to start or have significant reps there. And the reason he's the last on this list is because I don't feel confident that he's 100% going to be the starter. And also, we haven't seen him do much. So, right now, that's where he is for me. That's a position that's just got to be much better. We'll see if that's the case. I don't know if they got better there or not, but it could be a better group this year as far as productivity just by simply being better in the front seven. So let's hope that's the case. This was the first transfer they got, I believe, is Javen Williams.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks after you said that first guy does not need to be like a defensive back from Kennesaw State. And
Incredible.
Here we go.
Incredible. Robbie Faulk, my number 22 person, is Javen Williams.
Oh, you have him too?
I have him. I think he's going to be one of the 2 starting cornerbacks, but you're absolutely correct. This is a guy who was the 3rd corner at Kennesaw State. So this guy was not even one of the top 2, cornerbacks, a starting cornerback at a Midland lower tier FBS school.
Yeah.
And yet I think Mississippi State's going to count on him for big minutes, big snap count. So I don't have a ton of faith in this guy. I'll be totally honest with you. This is a guy who's an absolute prove me mode for Mississippi State. My number 21 guy, and I'm not doing this just because I felt like David Turner poor-mouthed him a little bit, but Jamil Burroughs has not done anything in college football. Right now he is what you would describe as a bust. A highly rated guy out of high school, goes to Alabama, can't get anything done there, transfers to Miami, can't get anything done there. He's out of football for a year. Now, I understand that all of the reports out of spring and out of the offseason, like he's been really good, and he understands this is his last chance saloon. This is it for him. Okay, I like the story. I hope the story ends well. But how can I sit here with any real confidence and say, yeah, that's a guy I think State can absolutely rely on this year? So 21 for me is Jamil Burroughs. Who do you have?
I've got Jacoby Jackson.
Okay.
And we kind of know what he can do, and I think he can be solid for you on the inside. I don't know what's going to happen at the guard position. There's a lot of opportunity there for players. He may very well not be starting. I think, like, as we sit here today, I would pencil him in, but I wouldn't feel super confident about it. That's why I got him down there at 21. That's what you're going to see probably. Like the first 3 guys I have, they are where they're at because I don't even know if they're going to be the starters. So Jacoby Jackson is there for me. I think there's a multitude of things that they could do at the guard spot. I'm giving him the edge right now just because he's an older guy, and I could see him running out there game 1, but he's 21 for me.
Okay. Who do you have at 20?
Kobe Keenum.
Okay.
At center. I'm giving him the edge because he was here in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
Cannon Boone, I think, is the dark horse there. It would not surprise me at all if he ends up becoming the starter. And I've heard some good things about him, but he could also play guard if needed. So I don't know what's going to happen there. I'm going to go with Kobe right now, but Brennan Smith was brought in for the center position too, to provide some depth and possibly be a starter there. A guy that was at UTEP and also Austin P.
I believe that's correct. Yes.
So, he has some experience. Kobe Keenum's a little younger, but played SEC football last year. So, we'll see what happens at that. That's a fascinating spot and a very important position. I thought State was really good at center last year with Ethan Miner.
I think we had Miner in our top 5 going into the season last year.
And we don't talk about him enough, but he was one of the
Really
positions up front that was really good.
Yeah.
So that's an important spot for State. They need to be really good there.
Jeff Passan just tweeted some very Robbie Faulk related news. The Yankees are finalizing trade to acquire closer David Bednar from the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I like it.
Yeah. Deal is pending medical review. So that's all in your wheelhouse right there.
Yeah, David Bednar has been home. He's been in Pittsburgh, so that's probably tough on his family because they're from that Pittsburgh area. They go to all the games. But glad to have him. He's solid.
All right. We're at number 20 for me. That's where I have Kelly Jones. So I have State's 2 starting corners, 20 and 22. I love the thought of Kelly Jones. That makes sense, right? I love the idea of a big 6'4" athletic cornerback who can go out there and lock. I mean, it's on paper, it's a dream scenario, but he wasn't that great last year, and I don't know how much better he's going to be, especially since my guess is he's going to be the guy who locks up with the best receivers.
Yeah,
he's the guy that they're going to put out there and say, we need you to shut these guys down. I don't know if he's capable of that, to be totally honest with you. So, we've talked a lot about Corey Bell. I mean, the fact that 2 of his 3 guys are in my bottom 3 is just a huge statement of what that guy has not done at Mississippi State in his time here. And so I just don't have
kind of an underwhelming interview the other day and didn't provide any kind of confidence.
Yeah. Well, we're being nice when we say that.
Yeah,
we're being kind.
Like it's hard to find where they really improved this room.
Yeah.
You went out and you got guys that were either backups where they were or they were NAIA and like they from what I could tell they passed on some guys that I thought would be kind of easy.
And you heard it was like they didn't think they were big enough. And it's like, guys, you don't have any players.
What does it matter if a guy is big enough but he can't play?
Right. I'd rather have a guy who can play who's 5'9"
and
a guy who can't play because he's 6'1".
These guys can't, but Dwight Lewis, what has he proven to this point?
Right.
I mean, he's been playing NAIA, but he's big.
When you look at State's corners, there's just nothing there that makes you go, I'm excited for that group. There just isn't anything. Your 2 corner transfers that came in are from an NAIA school and from Kennesaw State. You got a JUCO guy. You've got a guy who played a little bit last year in Diego Brumfield, who I wasn't overly impressed with. Like I said, Kelly Jones is the best of the bunch, and if I said rank 1 through 16, the top corners in the SEC by school, he's got to be 16. He's got to be at least really close to the bottom. So I don't have a lot of faith there. I have Keenum at 19, and that's just more about just haven't seen him play very much. Doesn't have a lot of film on him. I think that center position, the competition is good there. They've got experience. They got guys who can play. But I just don't know enough about Keenum to tell you anything more than put him at 19. Who do you have at 18?
I've got Kelly Jones.
That's where you have Kelly Jones. Okay.
Well, it's my 19.
19. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I got Kelly Jones.
We did this once before. Good job.
I think that Kelly is talented enough. He's got speed. It's kind of a rare thing to be the size that he is and to be able to run it like he does, because he's got the body of a safety.
Yeah.
And
he's almost the body of a linebacker. He almost could put like 30 pounds.
Probably put some more, like he kind of reminds me like body style of Dylan Lawrence.
Yeah.
But I think he's way more talented than Dylan Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
And I do wonder about, at the cornerback position, you got to have, I hate to use this, but you got to have the twitch.
Uh-huh.
And, that's become like a running joke on our website, but you kind of got to have a little more twitch. I do wonder if he's going to have that twitch with the way that he's built, but he does have good speed and he's got really good length. which proved to be a major plus for Emmanuel Forbes, although different kind of players. But I'm interested to see how he handles being probably like the first cornerback for Mississippi State this year.
Yeah.
I think the talent is there. He's obviously the most talented corner that you have, and this is the year where he really needs to take that step. But we'll see. Right now, the confidence meter is not extremely high on any cornerbacks for me.
All right. Who do you have at 18?
Brian Lanier.
Okay.
If he's the starter at safety, at one of the safety spots, can he be better than serviceable?
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be some there's going to be some competition back there. They got some pretty decent depth. I'm interested to see where he falls in line here, but yeah, that's probably gonna be my guy. Had some rough moments last year. The play against Georgia stands out where he says he was concussed. I don't know. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that.
Yeah.
But the hype that came with him, it just didn't line up last year. You need him to take that step this year.
All right. At 18 is where I have Red Hibbler. Coming off injury last year, he had a really good freshman year at North Carolina State. Wasn't as good as the next year. I think he's your starting defensive end. I mean, I just goes back to what we talked about at the beginning of this, right? I haven't seen enough. I don't know enough, and his numbers alone don't stand out enough to me to make me put him much higher than this. So Red Hibbler is who I have at my number 18. At 17, I have our guy Flapjack Owens. I think he could be higher if he had been here in the spring, because I think I'm penciling him in at left guard, and I think that he has a chance to be a good player for Mississippi State. I just feel like he's going to be behind because he wasn't here for the spring, so that does concern me. But I think he ends up taking that starting job. I know you had Jacoby Jackson a little bit earlier. I think Owens is over him by the time we get to the season. I think that's where I'm going to go with that.
Could be. I would actually. I think that's good for you long term.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any doubt about that, because it means that you identified somebody in the portal that helps you right away.
Yeah.
If he comes in and beats an older guy. And also, it's year 3 for him.
Yeah.
And this is the time where he needs to be making a big step.
All right. Who do you have there at the number 17 spot?
I've got Travion Williams.
Okay.
There. And
we have very different. I'm just going to let you know.
Yeah, well,
we're definitely different on this.
I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah.
I think that's
both of us could be right.
I think that's the gist of it, and that's why I say coming in,
mm-hmm.
It's hard to have a list of people that you feel confident in because there's so many things that have to happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, Travion, I think should win the defensive tackle spot, but he's going to have some competition for sure. But if he doesn't win, that's a bad sign, right? This guy is a highly touted defensive lineman that you brought in. This is year 4.
Yeah.
He should be unquestionably your starter. If he doesn't win, if he's still battling it out with Will Whitson or whoever he's battling it out with, that's an issue. I think Travion Williams should be a guy that you leave the training camp and it's no doubt that's your starter at that position. I didn't think he was bad last year. I've seen a lot of people.
He just hasn't been what we projected him to be.
He didn't put up big numbers, but I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that there was nothing in the middle to help. I mean, the defensive line as a whole was a problem. So he had a decent year last year, but this needs to be, third team All-SEC type year for him.
Mm-hmm.
Second, maybe he's moving into second. Like, he needs to be a standout. Or I just don't know when you're going to get it. If you can't get it in year 4, I don't know. So I've got him there just because I don't have the confidence in him like I had, last year before going into preseason.
No, that's fair. I mean, he is definitely in improvement mode. Who do you have at 16?
Deontay Anderson.
Okay.
And so that's another guy that you probably don't have on your list.
I don't have on the list.
But I've heard good things about him. He had a good spring. He appears to be emerging as a possible starter at that defensive end spot, and that's a spot just like defensive tackle that is going to have a ton of competition. And this guy's been here now for 4 or 5 years. He needs to be like Travion Williams. These are guys that have been around for a while. They should be pushing for starting reps, or they should be starting.
Mm-hmm.
This is a point where even over some of these transfers, they should have elevated their game. So that's who I got there. I think that he will win the defensive end starting spot. But another guy that kind of prove it mode with him, he needs to be able to get after the quarterback and make some plays. But he's a 4-star guy coming out of high school. Both of those guys really need to step up.
Yeah. 16 is where I put Aiden Williams. Of the 3 receivers I'm projecting to start, he's the one I have the biggest concerns about. I feel like Brennan Thompson coming from Oklahoma, I feel okay about him. You'll hear my other 2 later, but I feel better about them. I think Aiden Williams ends up being a starter. I think he's talented. This is another one where I just haven't seen him. And you think about Ole Miss, I know they've recruited really well in the transfer portal at receiver, but he was the number 2 player in the state a couple of years ago and was never really able to break through. Yeah. And I feel like Kiffin is the kind of coach who, he doesn't have a problem playing young guys. Look, he handed the reins to Judkins day 1. I don't know why he wouldn't have played this guy if he didn't think he could help him win. So that's a little bit of a concern for me, but I do think he will end up being a starter. So I have him at 16. I have Jimothy Lewis at 15. I will say this. I think Jimothy Lewis could take a massive jump. I think he's super talented. But I think if he ends up being your left tackle, then, that can be an interesting spot. He may end up at right tackle just because they don't want to put the pressure of protecting Chapin's blind side on him. But I really love the talent level. I love the ceiling for Jimothy Lewis, but he just hasn't done enough to get much higher on this list for me. Who do you have at 15?
15, I got Jamil Burrows.
Okay.
And I'm a little higher on Burrows than some might be. Still not super high on him, but I think he's going to be fine. So I got him at that spot, but this is a big training camp for him. Like the other 2 defensive linemen, like he's an upperclassman. I know he hasn't played in a couple years, but he was here in the spring. That should have been his time to get acclimated. He should be ready to go now. Like you should be ready to plug him in, and he's moving some people around. We know Kyle McClendon now is out. I would be surprised if he plays this year, judging by the fact he got a torn ACL in the spring.
Yeah,
he could come back, but I wouldn't push it. I would just go ahead and redshirt him.
Mm-hmm.
So guys like Jamil Burrows have got to step up now because your depth took a little bit of a hit there. That's a guy that got experience last year, and Kyle McClendon played a lot of reps. Burrows has not played football in 2 years. And I know he played high-level football at Alabama, but it wasn't a ton.
Mm-hmm.
He was a backup there. So, he should be a guy that's ready to roar.
All right. You should be telling me who's 14 for you.
Anthony Evans.
Okay.
Guy he's going to be playing the position that we've talked about that's going to get a lot of targets.
Yeah.
They moved Ricky Johnson in there too.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he's going to have a big year. He's going to get pushed by Ricky, and we'll see how good he is and how ready he is to take over that role, because I think that Ricky has been kind of a little bit of a surprise to people. He has really come in and put a lot of work in to be a guy that plays a lot of football this year. So that's going to bring out the best, or it's going to fold Anthony Evans, and we'll see how he handles it. But he's been playing football for one of the best programs in the country the last couple of years, and he's going to have a chance to really explode in this offense, because that's where a lot of targets are going to go. He's going to get a lot more targets than he did at Georgia. So he's got to be ready for that. And I think he will. I think he'll be good for state.
All right. At 14 is where I put Seydou Traore. I just thought he took a hit with me last year. I had him really high last year. I thought he was going to be a star. And look, the team went 2-10. So, how many stars can you really have?
And still had decent numbers for tight end.
Still had decent numbers, but I expected more. And maybe that's on me, but I would like to see him play better this year. I would like to see him be closer to 40 catches this year. I feel like he was he underdelivered last year based on maybe that's just my own preseason hype, but that's just where I have him is at 14. 13 is where I put Jalen Smith. Played in the SEC, played well at Tennessee. They didn't want to lose him. I think he plugs right into that middle linebacker position. I'm interested to see if State can keep this streak of leading tackler in the conference thing going. They've had it's 3 straight years, if I'm correct, right? It's Jet Johnson, then Bookie Watson, and then Isaac Smith last year.
Yep.
I think Smith is going to be a guy on the field a lot. He can be an every down backer for State. I really like him a lot. We're getting to some players I actually feel good about at this point. We've left some of the ones I'm straight up worried about behind. Jalen Smith is a guy I feel really good about. I just need to see a little bit more from him to get there. Who do you have at 13?
I got Jordan Mosley. And,
Okay.
Mosley has gotten the preseason hype like 3 years in a row now.
Yeah.
But I thought he did some decent things last year. I just don't know what you got at that position. I think he plays the X. I don't know what all you got there.
Mm-hmm.
You got these transfers that are the guys that we haven't really talked much about, like Cam Thompson and Marcus Allen are outside guys, and I don't know yet what they are. So I'm pushing Jordan Mosley into that starting role, and we'll see how he does. Had a great start to the year last year, and then just kind of like faded off a little bit. This is a big year for him. This is it for him. He's been a leader on this team in the offseason. All indications he's had a really good offseason. So we'll see how he handles it.
All right. Then who do you have up at 12?
Brendan Thompson.
Okay.
So I got all three of my receivers are lumped in right there.
Yeah, you got them all lumped in.
12 to 14 range. And I feel most confident about Brendan Thompson because of everything that I've seen and heard to this point from the spring to now. Just, one of the leaders on the team came right in. He knows this offense, so it's not something that's going to be completely new to him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with this being, his final year, he's got a chance to really explode in this offense. I think he and Anthony Evans are going to benefit more than anybody with this offense. And so I'm expecting big things from him. I think they can take the top off the defense with him. I think you can do some things that you did with Mario Craver with him. I mean, it's one of those deals where in this offense, if you have a guy that you can tell to just go and just run down the field and you can get the ball to him, that's tough to defend. And a guy with speed like that, there's a lot of cornerbacks going to have trouble with him and safeties.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that there's a chance that he has a huge season and a player that he averaged 20-plus yards of reception during his career.
Yeah.
Now, I know there's not a ton of stuff there, but he's been close to 30. So that's not anything to just dismiss. I think he's going to have a good year.
At 12 is where I have Tony Mitchell. I have him as one of the starting safeties for Mississippi State. I thought he had the best spring game of anybody on the team. When you go back to that,
yeah, he was really good in the spring.
And he fits the mold of the JUCO guys that have had great success at Mississippi State before. A former 5-star player signs with Alabama, gets into the off the field issues, and has to go to the JUCO route. Well, I mean, we've seen that before with Abram. We've seen it with Montez Sweat. We've seen it with others. I think that he's going to have a good year for Mississippi State. I really like him as a player. I thought he was outstanding in the spring game. So I've got him at 12. 11's where I put Will Whitson. Will Whitson. Probably State's best overall transfer when you look at production from a season ago. That's a guy who I think could have gone elsewhere had he wanted to. And State, if they go to these 4-man fronts, he'll play a big role in the interior. If they stay with a 3-man front, I think he can lock down that defensive tackle role. Wherever they want to put him, I think he has that versatility. I think he's a good football player, and I expect him to be successful this year for Mississippi State. Who do you have at 11?
Luke Work.
Okay.
And I don't know what positions that's going to be.
Yeah.
I think you can slide him inside if he doesn't win the left tackle job. I think he can play right tackle. I think he can play left guard. But I think he will be on the field. When you talk about getting your best 5 out there, it's hard for me to believe Luke Work isn't going to work. his way into that lineup because he is everything that I've heard from people that are with the team regularly around workouts. He is top 5 hardest worker on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's got the skill set too to play on that line for the next 2 or 3 years. So I think he is going to be on the line somewhere. And I don't know if that's going to be left tackle or guard, but I think that he's going to be there. I have pretty good confidence in him doing good things for Mississippi State this year as a sophomore.
All right. So who do you have at 10? We're going into the top 10 now.
Top
Who do you
10,
have?
and I feel pretty certain about these 10.
Okay.
Jalen Smith is my number 10.
Okay.
I think he's going to be your starting middle linebacker. I don't see anybody knocking him out of that role. Just kind of a workman-like attitude. Not a guy that's he's not a guy that's going to cause a lot of issues. He just comes to work. And that was a huge pickup for Coleman Hutzler in the offseason when he was able to get him from Tennessee and win that battle. And he's been good in the spring. He's been good in summer workouts. I think that he is going to have a really good season. And that could be a guy, like you mentioned, that could be one of the top tacklers in the SEC. I mean, he had 30 plus as a redshirt freshman at Tennessee. I think he could have a huge jump this year after playing that season in a really good defensive system, by the way. Tennessee's had one of the best defenses in the conference. So I think that's going to be a tremendous pickup for Mississippi State, a guy we might not talk about enough.
Yeah. My number 10 is Brennan Thompson. And honestly, before I talked to him at SEC Media Days, I don't even know that I thought he was going to start. But after speaking with him, I was very impressed. And the speed that you mentioned. State, Bumpus talked about it Tuesday. He said, Mario Craver was fast, but this is different. This is a guy who can take the top off the defense. I'm looking forward to seeing him on those go routes. I think he's going to be State's big play guy this year. He may not be the leading receiver, but he could be a guy who's averaging 18, 19 yards a catch when the season's all said and done. So I think he plays a big role for State this year. So that's who I have at 10. At number 9, maybe a little surprising here, but I swear I have Zachary Tillman. This is my guy this year. If I go to six pack for your boy, my boy is Zachary Tillman. I think he's going to be a monster for State this year. I think he's State's best linebacker. I think he has a chance to be a big time player when this is all said and done. I see him as another of that great lineage of linebackers that Mississippi State has had for the last 2-3 decades. I'm super high on him, so I have him at 9.
Do we need to take a break and do the ad read?
No, because we got more to talk about after this.
Okay.
Yeah.
My number 9 is Tony Mitchell.
Yeah.
And I'm like you. I think that he has a chance to be one of those JUCO guys that's a big time player for Mississippi State. It's one of those deals like I don't think Alabama really wanted to lose him, but there were some issues there.
Yeah.
Anytime you get those guys bouncing back, I like it. It's the guys that they didn't leave because they were pushed down the depth chart, things like that. If you can get things squared away, personally, you've done well. So, I think this is a guy that has a career when he gets here, like the Brian Coles and the Montez Sweats. And I'm not saying
Brian Cole, baby.
Yeah, I'm not saying like he's a first-round draft pick like
Right.
Montez Sweat, but those guys translated their junior college career into a really good SEC career. I think he's one of those that has a chance to do that. He significantly raises your ceiling, or your floor really, and your ceiling in the secondary at safety, and gives a lot of help for Isaac Smith and guys like that in the back end. So I think he's going to be really good for State, and I think it's going to make life easier for like Brian Lanier, and people like that. So that's who I got back there.
That's your number.
Safety at number 9.
Who do you have at 8?
I've got Seydou Traore.
Okay.
I have a little more confidence in him.
Yeah.
I think that there were some things last year that he could have done better, specifically blocking. Could be a better blocker, but it's like, what I asked John Cooper the other day. What does the guys that you brought in the spring portal, what does that do for a guy like Seydou Traore? And he mentioned that he's like self-motivated guy, so he doesn't really need that. But I don't think that there is anything negative that can come from adding more talent in that room that's going to push him to be on his P's and Q's. That having those guys behind him now and knowing that those guys are kind of nipping at the heels, I think it's only going to make him a better tight end. So I like that they've added those guys. I still think he wins that position, and I think he's going to be a better tight end for it, and I think his numbers will suggest it too this year. I think he'll be a big part of things.
All right. At number 8 is where I have Blake Steen. I know he missed practice today. It's going to be a problem, I hear. But that said,
he missed practice because he was in class.
He was in class. I know. It wasn't an injury or anything like that. This is the most experienced guy you have. And I think he can plug right into either one of these tackle positions. The best case scenario for State is that they feel good about Jimothy Lewis at left tackle. So I think Steen can be a top right tackle for you. But if he has to go to left, he'll be okay. The experience is good. He fits the mold of what Loadholt is trying to do out there and get those road graders. He's a big kid. His experience is a big deal for me. State desperately needed a guy like that to come in the portal. I give Levy and Loadholt a lot of credit for being able to swing him here. So that's who I have at number 8. Number 7 is where I have Anthony Evans because that's the guy I'm predicting to be the leading receiver. We talked about it. You said it a little earlier when you were talking about him. That slot position, that's who eats in this offense the most. So if I tell you that the starting slot's going to be 75 catches, 800 yards, and I'm saying Anthony Evans is that guy, well, that's where I need to put him. So he's number 7 on my list. I think, if he ends up winning that job, he will be a massive all-SEC caliber kind of talent for Mississippi State. Yeah. Who do you have at 7?
I've got Blake Steen.
Okay.
I have very high hopes for Blake Steen. I think, like you said, he's definitely a guy that you can plug into one of those spots. He has 2 tackle spots to choose from, pretty much. So if he doesn't win either one of those, that's a problem. You misevaluated. I don't think it's really the fact that he was beat out. I think you'd misevaluated. He should be a guy that steps in and he's starting either left or right tackle over the sophomores. Or I guess Jimmy Lewis is a redshirt freshman, but you get what I'm saying. Those guys are in year 2. I mean, this guy's played more football than those guys. He should be starting at right or left tackle. And I believe he will. And you believe he will too. I mean, at this stage of the game, I've got 2 tackles in the top 10.
Yeah.
2 linemen, but both of them have played tackle. And I have faith that both of those guys are going to start somewhere.
All right. Who do you have at number 6?
I've got Brandon Jennings at number 6.
Okay.
I think this is going to be a huge year for Brandon Jennings. I think he's going to be your starting jack, which he was last year. And I think last year kind of got his feet wet a little bit, getting back into the game of playing in Power 4 football, and was actually pretty solid. I thought he had a good year. I didn't think he set the world on fire, but he was one of the few linebackers that consistently got in the backfield and would create some negative plays. He was one of the few that was able to do that. The talent has never been a question with him. It's just been putting it all together. And I think he started to do that. We've seen that with guys before where they step in out of JUCO and they have that year where they kind of get acquainted and they start having some production. The next year's their huge year.
Yeah.
I think he has a chance to do that.
Okay. 6 is where I have Jerron Manning. So my starting safeties are, Mitchell, Manning, and you can guess who the third one is. He's coming up. Again, maybe I mentioned Will Whitson earlier, but Manning, you can make a very strong case that he was State's best overall transfer on the defensive side. An all-conference guy in the Sun Belt. Everything I've ever heard about him has been positive, that he understands how to play at this level. He's going to be a good player at this level. I like State's safety group. I mean, if you're telling me that Hunter Washington can play in a secondary role, doesn't have to start, but he can just come in and give you some snaps, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. The issue is having him out there all the time. The State's 3 safeties, to me, are really good. SEC caliber safety. So Manning is who I have at 6. 5 is where I have Brandon Jennings. I think he might be poised for a breakout year. And I know it's his last year, so it's a little difficult to say, but I'm talking about in terms of getting on NFL radars. State has to be better rushing the passer this year. They just have to be. And him at that jack position, I think, can do that. I think that he can be, because he's a good enough athlete to get past some of those tackles. He's big enough that he can work some tight ends if they're trying to block him. I think he's a good player. You mentioned it last year. He was good. He wasn't great. Nobody on the defense was great last year. Nobody, but he was good.
Isaac Smith.
Yeah, but even Isaac
He's all
Smith,
SEC. I mean,
he was all SEC, but he was all SEC because he led the conference in tackles. Like he didn't as a safety, did not have one interception. I can't call that great. I call him.
Yeah, well, I mean, he hardly covered. He was.
Yeah, he was
they had to have him.
No, I get
the
it.
Ball.
I get it. Jennings, who I have at 5, so that's where I'm going to put him. Who do you have at 5?
I'm surprised you had Manning so high. I don't even know if he's going to win it.
I don't know that. I don't know, but I think he's the best, one of the best guys back there. I really do think that.
I've got Zachary Tillman at 5. Which,
wow.
Again, I'm surprised I'm higher on him than
I am surprised by that. Yeah.
But
I was half expecting you to throw Nick Mitchell in there. Just be like, yeah.
No,
veteran presence.
I think that Zachary is going to win that spot. The talent level was too high, and it was one of those deals last year. Was like you said, there was nobody that really stood out outside of maybe Isaac Smith, but like every time he was in there, it just seemed like he was creating some kind of havoc. Like he looked different than a lot of the other guys. It just looked different. The way he ran around, the way he hit people. It didn't look like some of the others. It looked like, a guy that was poised to play on the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is the year that they finally give him the reps he needs. He gets in there and he really makes some big-time plays for you. He's a playmaker, man. He's a headhunter. He can do a lot of things for you at that will linebacker spot.
Mm-hmm.
I think he beats out Nick Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
I think they share duties a little bit, but I think that he beats him out. I think he's your starter at will.
Okay.
And I have a lot of confidence that when he's in the game, he's going to be making plays for you.
All right. Who do you have at 4?
My number 4 is Albert Reese.
Okay.
And I have him there because number one, I have confidence that he's going to be one of the 5.
Mm-hmm. He is going to start.
I saw him out there today. He's the first lineman leading the team. He's the first one running to every drill. Had he been there in the spring, he would have been starting in the spring, but he was hurt. The reason I have him at 4 is because I believe he's going to slide inside to guard, and I think he is an NFL guard. And I've thought that since he got to Mississippi State. He is an NFL guy.
I think he will be a guard, yeah.
And so pushing him inside to guard, I think, is going to bring out all of his best attributes. I think he will be one of State's best linemen this year if you do slide him inside to guard, and I think he will be an NFL guy.
All right.
So that's my guy at number 4.
My number 4 is Blake Shapen. And it's kind of interesting. Like I feel like when you do these rankings, you have to assume health, right? You can't do these in terms of but I think he'll get injured. You can't do that, right? These rankings are a projection of what happens in a 12-game season. But at the same time, part of me with Shapen, the reason he's not higher than 4th, because he could easily be 1st, is I do have that worry in the back of my brain that he's going to get hurt. But if Blake Shapen is healthy in this offense with his skills, I expect him to have a good season. If he plays 12 games, he will be around 3,000 yards passing. He'll be probably 2.5 to 1 touchdown to interception, well over 20 touchdowns. And I think if he stays healthy, those things are going to happen. So I believe in that. That's why I have him at 4. I have Albert Reese at 3. Easily State's most consistent offensive lineman, and as you mentioned, a guy that I feel like this is about reliability, right? This is who I trust. I trust Albert Reese. I know he'll be out there. He's a big, strong kid, and he will be part of this. He's going to start somewhere, and he's the guy who could go outside of center. I think he could start anywhere. You could put him at left tackle. I wouldn't, but you could. He could play either guard. He could play that right tackle. Albert Reese is who I have at 3. Who do you got?
Blake Shapen.
Shapen at 3. Okay.
And even with the health concerns that you have with him, I still have him top 3.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that he's going to be, if healthy, he's going to be good for you from a leadership standpoint, and I think he'll be productive in this offense. And watching him at practice today, it zips the ball as good as anybody. The ball comes out of his hands as good as anybody out there. Camario, Cromenhawk, anybody. I mean, he is perfectly suited to run this offense and do it at a high level. It's just going to be whether or not he stays healthy.
Right.
And so that's the big concern for you. But if he is healthy, I think that the offense is going to have a lot of production.
All right. Who do you have at number 2?
Davon Booth
Okay.
is number 2. I think we could change either one of these guys out and probably feel
We
better
are.
about it.
We are going to change them out.
I believe that the only reason he's not number 1 for me is because I think that they're going to have to share reps with Fluff Bothwell and Johnny.
Bothwell could have been on my top 25, my top 22. He could have, if I was willing to do backups, he'd be in the top 10.
I could put Fluff ahead of almost the majority of this list.
Yeah.
But since we're doing starters, I can't.
Yeah.
Davon Booth, I don't know if there's a player on this roster that this staff feels they might have him number 1.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if there's a player that this staff feels more confident in than Davon Booth. And Jeff Lebby said it today. He could play every single down. He could be their short yardage guy, their third down, fourth down guy. It doesn't matter. They can put him in at any point. At every snap of the game, they feel like he could handle it.
Mm-hmm.
There is not a guy on offense. They might argue Shapen, but Davon Booth's probably the most confident that they have. And just looks as good as ever out there. I think that getting him back after he's kind of started to figure it out last year is huge. Because I think that this guy is super talented.
Yeah.
And he's smart. He's a student of the game. He's going to have a huge year. I'm interested to see what those numbers look like because you have other pieces at running back, but this could easily be a 1,000-yard rusher for you this year.
If you've been listening to this show, we talked about him earlier this week. Davon Booth is going to be my number 1 because Isaac Smith is my number 2. Isaac Smith at 2. I could have flipped him, but I am just all in on Booth. I like Isaac Smith a lot. Great player. I would like to see a little bit more. And like you mentioned, Robbie, it's more about the situations that he's in. How many times was he allowed to cover? But if you're going to be a safety, I'd like to see a couple of picks. So, add that to your game, and you're one of the best safeties in the country all of a sudden. So I have Isaac Smith at 2. Davon Booth, I had voted him second team All-SEC. I am completely sold on him as a star running back in this system. I know that Bothwell, I know that Daniels will get carries, but in years past with Jeff Lebby's offenses, he's been able to figure that out and get the ball to his playmakers. I think Booth has a massive year for Mississippi State. That's why he's my number 1, and obviously you're number 1.
Hunter Washington.
Hunter, it's taking strays.
No, I'm sorry, Hunter. It's obviously Isaac Smith for me. Just the leadership standpoint. He's essentially become the face of Mississippi State. In-state guy. He chose to stick around. Last year was a huge jump for him, and I thought it was a really good season. This year he's going to have some help. Now, what does he was working with the linebackers today.
Yeah.
So
what is his role?
What is his role? Is he floating around a little bit? Is it like a star position, I guess you would call it? Or what? I mean, if you go to that R-Lads site, he's listed as a nickelback, which I don't see.
Yeah, that's not really basically calling him like the third safety. So, what does the state call it? The star?
Well, the star is almost like another linebacker.
Yeah.
So I would say he was probably more like a star than he is a nickelback because the nickelback's almost like another coverage.
I don't think the verbiage is correct on this website.
Yeah. So I would say that he's just going to float around.
Yeah.
I think that it's just going to be a situation where he's playing back into the defense sometimes. He's playing on the line of scrimmage, rushing the quarterback, defending the run. He's just going to be a guy that does a lot of things. The leadership, the intangibles that he has, he's a future NFL guy. I don't foresee under any circumstance him taking a step back this year, unless, God forbid, it's some kind of injury or something, and hopefully that's not the case. But I just don't see his game going backwards.
No, I don't
think he's going to be better this year than he was last year in a lot of areas. But hopefully it doesn't mean that his numbers are as high as they were last year.
Mm-hmm.
Because I agree with a little bit of what you were saying the other day. You don't want your safety to be a 100 tackle guy. I don't necessarily think that that means that you're having issues or your front line defense is not doing its job. I think you can have a 100 tackle guy at safety and you still be really good at defense, but I think that you're better off if Isaac Smith's an 80 tackle guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a few pass breakups in there. He's got some forced fumbles and a couple interceptions. If he's doing more of that and the tackles go down, I think you're better off as a defense.
Yeah.
But he's going to be in on a lot of the plays. So I'm expecting big things out of him. There's nobody on this roster I have more confidence in.
All right. There it is, the 2025 All-22s. We'll see who ends up being right. But the one thing you said about with Isaac Smith, if he's closer to the line of scrimmage, that again, with Manning, he's going to get on the field if that's the case for sure. So I'll be interested to see, never mind our rankings, but who's closer on the actual starting lineups when we get to game one.
And I'm just enjoying the fact that we could argue so many different guys starting. And the confidence thing,
last year was not the case. We were pretty sure who was going to be starting.
And the confidence thing isn't so much like I don't have confidence in these guys as players. There's a lot of guys in here that we mentioned that might not even start.
Mm-hmm.
Travion Williams, Deontay Anderson, Javen Williams, these guys, I don't even know if they're going to start. But there are players that are comparable to them or possibly even better that we didn't mention. So I'm excited to see how it all goes, and I think this is it's just going to be a more well-rounded team, a deeper team this year, and I think that's going to trickle down and lead to more success.
We shall see. I think you're right, but I'm gonna hold off on making those kind of predictions.
It's a massive wait and see for both of us. I think we can both agree on that.
Yeah. All right, let's move into the rest of the show. That's brought to you by our friends over at Two Brothers Smoked Meats. I was at Two Brothers yesterday setting everything up for the not fall camp tour, which will be at Two Brothers on August the 13th, Wednesday, August the 13th. Sports Talk Mississippi and Thunder and Lightning will be live at Two Brothers Smoked Meats. We've got some great stuff to give away. We've got one thing that you're going to have a chance to register to win. It's not 100% yet, so you just have to hold off and let me tell you. But I showed it to Robbie, and he knows what I'm talking about. It is a fantastic prize you can win. Genteel apparel, packages from Pearl River Resort is all going to be right there. Come see us 3 to 6, Wednesday, August the 13th at Two Brothers Smoked Meats. But go there before then, too. Go eat some lunch. Go eat some dinner with our friends at Two Brothers Smoked Meats. Great products, great service. Every business likes to promise it to you. They deliver it to you at Advantage Business Systems. That's what they've been doing for 50 years. How'd that go again? All right, then.
Brother.
When you need technology for your business, give Advantage Business Systems a call. If you need a new copier or a new printer, whatever it is. And then when you know that when you get that product, that you've got the backup of great service, that you have gotten everything taken care of, that you are ready to roll 100% of the time, because they're in Mississippi, you're in Mississippi. A lot of times they're going to be able to save your product, fix your problems the exact same day. 601-362-9192 or visit them online at absms.com. Find out how Advantage Business Systems will help your business do business. We got a text message. I feel bad that we have to keep telling you guys stuff, and we're like, we can't 100% tell you everything. But we got a message from our friend Wyatt over at Maroon & Co. today, and it was a video of some of their new hats they're going to have in stock. Now, I know the young people. I know the kids today, Robbie Faulk. Those hats are going to fly off the shelves.
Yes.
These are the kind of hats that I see young people wearing all the time. So just go ahead and get ready to shop at Maroon & Co. and their incredible selection of Mississippi State gear. It's the best around. Use our promo codes Thunder15 to save 15% off regular price. Next time you're in Starkville, before you go to the game, you need to go to Maroon & Co. Our friends at Scruggs Farm, Lawn and Garden want to let you know that, hey, you don't have to be out all day in the yard. You can get that job done a lot quicker if you just put a little John Deere power underneath you. So do that. with a trip to Scruggs Farm Lawn and Garden. Get a brand new John Deere commercial mower, a compact tractor, the Gator, whatever it is you need for the job, they've got it at Scruggs. And of course, it's not just about mowers, leaf blowers, edgers, tools, power tools, gardening gear, everything. It's right there. It's one stop, guys. Anything you like to do around the house on the weekend, Scruggs has it for you. Go check them out in Saltillo, Mississippi. Scruggs Farm Lawn and Garden. Today we talked to Jeff Lebby, Mississippi State head football coach, after day one of preseason camp. Let's see what the head coach had to say.
Questions for Coach.
Coach, you always talk about retention coming into these situations. From spring to today, did you see the kind of retention you like?
Yeah, I thought the guys that practiced with us in the spring that had good springs, it showed up. Like we spent time in the summer, and we're so much further ahead today than we have been day one. So excited about that. We got a ton of work to do. I think our leadership is in a much better place, and that to me is what helps that as much as anything.
I remember first day of spring practice, you talked about getting better on the offensive line, and that was going to be a point of emphasis in the portal, and it just looks noticeably like a bigger offensive line out there. I mean, what's your first impressions of that group, seeing them on the field today?
Yeah, I mean, body type-wise, we're where we want to be. We've got a ton of work to do. And these guys understanding how we practice, how we do what we do, the physicality that we have to play with to give us an opportunity to go win, those are real things, and they haven't been with us. So excited about that group and the potential. We got to come together in a hurry, make sure we're dialed in on the best 5 or the best 6, best 7 that can go play winning football for us.
This being your second year at State, what's it going to take to be able to kind of keep things moving along in terms of integrating that into the system, especially on offense?
Yeah, for us, being year 2, I think the thing that's very obvious is having Blake back and his leadership, his understanding of what's being asked of him every single snap, every single day. Again, that we're leaps and bounds ahead of where he's been, and excited about that. That gives us a chance to take the step we need to take offensively and get us where we need to be.
Talking with you at Media Day and Coach Bump earlier this week, you guys seem very confident in the wide receiver group despite some of the production that was lost. What gives you that confidence that the group will be?
Yeah, I think first thing, just knowing what it's supposed to look like, and we do. We've got guys in that room that can play. I said this in the spring, I'll say it again, the thing that I love about that room is it's an unselfish room. It is a room that's connected, there's depth to it, and a lot of different body types. And so when they're all in there fighting together, competing together, you got a chance to be really good. So we got to go do it. We've got a lot of work to do. We're going to continue to talk about that, but I like that group.
You know you're not looking for a finished product on that first day, but what are some things that you want to see from your team whenever you go through that first practice, going throughout the practice, and by the end of the practice, what do you want to see from you guys?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we talked about in the team meeting this morning, you've got to put yourself in the position to push past exhaustion, and have the ability to make the play and to execute when you're really, really tired. And so it's a completely different kind of strain even than the summer workout, So those are the things that we want to see. Now we want to see improvement from today to tomorrow. It is that simple. If we'll do that, then we'll be where we need to be.
Talk about how big Isaac Smith's been for you guys.
Yeah, just leadership, and I've continued to say it. Like, to me, he's everything that you love about the game of football. His toughness, his physicality, his leadership, his passion to be a great player. I love how much he loves Mississippi State, and I can't say enough great things about him. To me, there's not a better spokesperson for our defense or our team than I.
Was there an area today that surprised you where you thought, man, we're maybe a little further along there than I thought we'd be?
I'll have to watch the tape. I did think guys strained when it got really, really hard. We're going to have to continue to do that. It's going to be hot August 30th. I think we're all aware of that as we go to kick it off. But, man, we got great vision for that day and where we're going.
The defense line seemed to get some guys back from spring healthy. Are you satisfied with the depth now you have in that group, both the edge and inside guys?
Yeah, we're in a lot better place than we were. Again, we got a long way to go, but our bodies today compared to where it's been, us having the ability to go two-spot the entire practice, completely different. And that's going to help. That's going to help us practice the way we need to practice so we can develop and get the depth that we need.
You obviously spend a lot of time with those quarterbacks. Do you see a massive difference in how they attack practice now, the guys underneath Blake, than how they did in the spring?
yeah, they're just a little more sure of what they're doing, of what's being asked of them. So there's a little more confidence, and they move around with a little more urgency because, again, they've done it a little bit now. So, again, at that position, it's not ever going to be good enough. I think that's the greatest thing about playing and coaching it. Man, there are so many things to clean up daily, and those guys get that, and they've taken to it.
We saw Kai McClendon off to the side today. What's his injury status right now?
Yeah, right now, and Kai's going to be out for a while. He tore his ACL in the spring, and so Kai will be out for a while.
How much better do you feel about that group now when you have a guy like that goes down, that you have somebody else that's going to be able to step up and have a little bit of depth?
Yeah, again, the bodies and where we're at today compared to fall camp this time last year, the way we practice today completely different than the way we practiced a year ago today. And so there's a ton of work to do. There's a ton of development that has to happen for us to get where we need to get. But our body types and those guys' intent right now is really good.
Between the freshmen and the portal guys who weren't here for spring, how do you feel the real newcomers did today?
Yeah, and I'll have to go back and watch it. There's a lot of newness, for a bunch of these guys. The high school guys that got here at the end of May, 1st of June, there's a lot being thrown at them. And so guys that can take that on and have the ability to execute and make some plays, that'll be big for us. But we'll have to go watch the tape and see how they execute.
Talk about the versatility of obviously him as a running game, but he's also a good pass catcher and he's in the kicking game too.
Yeah, he's a guy that has the ability to play every snap. He's a first, second, third down, fourth down back, situational guy. He can really do it all. And so I like where he's at. He's going to continue to come along. I've talked about the running back room and where we're at there and excited about that group.
Behind Blake, is there a guy that's clearly ahead for that number 2 spot, or is that a constant battle?
It is going to be a competition and a constant battle. I see that happening all the way through, and I'm excited about both those guys in a big-time way. But it is, and it's healthy, it's good, it's great for our unit, it's great for the position group, and I love coaching both of them.
All right, so it's Lebby, Mr. Coach speak. It's the first day of camp. I don't know how much we can really get from it, but his answers about the offensive line, he seems to be in a much better place than he was when we talked to him in the spring about it, for sure.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And I remember last year, I brought this up, day one of practice, not last year, this spring, day one of practice, someone came up to me that is, I'll say, someone on the staff.
Someone who knows.
And said, this offensive line ain't going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't going to cut it. And you looked out there, and I said, man, they look really small. They just don't look like an SEC offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
They look drastically different today. I like that was the first thing I noticed when I walked out there. Is that looks like an SEC offensive line, and that's before they put on the pads. So I like what Lodeholt did. We didn't see Blake Steen out there.
Right.
He was finishing up summer classes. Should be out there tomorrow and good to go the rest of the way. But I think that the offensive line is going to be significantly better and needed to be, because it was kind of a downer in the spring at times. But I think you added some real depth there, guys that aren't just, bodies. I think you added some guys that we've talked about, and Zach Owens and Blake Steen, those guys, Brennan Smith, those guys can compete and win starting positions now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, we'll see how they do when they get on pads and everything, but I definitely think that they've upgraded the talent and the depth there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big part of the team. They need to get that figured out. As strange as it sounds, they're going to have probably more experience in that group returning than they did last year in terms of faces that have been here.
Mm-hmm.
Albert Reese, Luke Work got a ton of time last year.
Chubby
Jackson. They're going. Timothy Lewis even played some. They're going to have the ability to gel, I think, easier than they did last year. That was a totally new line for the most part outside of Reese.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's going to be a good group.
I agree. I think they'll be much improved over what they were a season ago. Defensively, We're just not going to know. We're just not. We're not going to know until we get to Hattiesburg. But the good news is we'll know pretty quick down there.
Yep.
Into the first quarter, if it's Southern Miss has 7 or 10 points on the board, not good. Not good.
No.
You're shutting them out. You're forcing them to punt. You're forcing a turnover here or there. You're fine. You're fine. So we'll know quickly. We'll see though. All right. No more open practices or any media availability the rest of the week. I think there's some player availability. What did you do? All right.
All right, we're good.
All right. Just watch yourself over there, Mr. Hands.
Yeah.
All right, those long phalanges getting in the way over there. No more. There's a player availability tomorrow. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So they have that, but there's no more open practice and no more Coach Levy until next week. But as we get those interviews, we will bring them to you. All right, guys. Have a great weekend, and we'll be back with you on Monday as we are full bore into football. Hope you guys watch the Hall of Fame game tonight. I know it's meaningless, but at the same time, it is football, and you've got to cherish it.
For the love of God.
Cherish it. Talk to you guys on Monday. For Robbie Faulk, I'm Brian Hadad. Thanks for listening to Thunder and Lightning here on SuperTalk, Mississippi.